Hello everyone, welcome to part 3 of my thoughts of Arifureta From Commonplace to World's Strongest. In this part I will be talking about the characters that mean so much to me in the show, and also talk about their heroic actions as well as action-packed moments within the show, and the heartwarming moments between one of the characters. There's several things I like about this anime show of Arifureta is the fact that these characters actually go off and save people around Tortoise, the fantasy world that they are travelling across to get these ancient magical abilities. Well, during the course of their journey, they actually go off and save people and help people as well. And this is one thing it really does brings back home to me. It's the characters who don't actually think for themselves, they think about others. And what I like about Hajime and his female companions is that they go across Tortoise and really actually do help people out there, even though it's very reluctant that Hajime does, but he does actually help and agree to help actually. If you have watched season 1 of the anime, when I was watching that, I actually really do like the fact that Hajime actually saved one of the most beloved and adorable characters in the series, Mew. If you watch the 11th episode of season 1, that's great, but this will contain spoilers for anyone who has never watched the first season. In the episode, Hajime has saved a little Dagon girl named Mew from these kidnappers, and this does lead to one of the most heartwarming moments ever in the episode, is when I actually cried up when Mew was all alone, when she was just taken from her own mother from these kidnappers, and makes the reason why this episode is actually one of my personal favourites of Hajime's heroic actions in the series, and why it means so much to me, is because of course it's a father and daughter relationship. I know that Hajime isn't related to Mew by blood, but he does actually become a surrogate stepfather to Mew actually. And that's one of the most heartwarming moments in the episode, is where Mew does actually says at the very end of the episode that she hasn't got a father, and it just made me cry a bit actually. Well, in fact the episode did make me cry a lot actually, because it's adorable little Dagon girl who's been taken away from her mother, and then you got this strong badass dude actually, and he has that softer side to himself, and then you see the that sort of fatherly and child relationship between Hajime and Mew actually, and that's something that really does take home to me, because every time I rewatch the episode I just feel a sense of emotion in my eyes actually. I just feel very emotioned actually. It's sweet and heartwarming. And if you watch non-anime shows, like live-action shows, which has got heartwarming moments where it's something to do with a father or mother and child relationship moments, and it's a very emotional moments in those sort of films and movies, you get what I mean, don't you? So to me, this episode is actually my absolute personal favourite of the series. But I don't want to say this is not only the only favourite of mine actually with Hajime and Mew, but that's in episodes in season 2 of course, and that is the scene with Remia and Mew where they reunited after about 2 months apart, and it's just actually a really sweet scene actually. And I must admit it is a sweet reunion actually. Every time I actually rewatch the episode again and again, I can't help but find how heartwarming it is actually, and it's all thanks to Hajime and his team of girls actually, who actually rescue her from these awful kidnappers who, well, I will save that for another time in another video about it, but I want to focus on other heroic actions with Hajime of course. But I couldn't help my personal favourite of Hajime's heroic actions is saving this little Dagon girl and bringing her back to her mother, and it's so sweet actually. Put in the comments below if you find it how sweet and heroic that Hajime has saved her from these kidnappers, and of course the reuniting of Mew and her mother Remia. The other heroic actions in Season 1 that Hajime and the girls do actually to protect the people of Tortoise is to defend a lakeside town called Or against an army of 6,000 strong monsters that was led by one of Hajime's former classmates, Shimizu. This does lead to an action-packed moment where Hajime and the girls use a combination of magic and weapons to defeat this massive amount of army of monsters. And this was an actually awesome action-packed scene where we see Shia going full out on the battlefield, flatten down every single monster in her path with a massive hammer. That was the most awesome scene of seeing Shia in action on the battlefield. Even though that earlier in the series that she was a very wimpy, worthless rabbit girl, but now she actually become a very, very powerful rabbit girl indeed. Very strong and powerful, which makes her one of the most awesome female characters, and I look forward to make a video about her in the near future. Also, another heroic moment that Hajime has did after the Battle of Or is that he saved his teacher Aiko from being poisoned from a needle that was stabbed into her neck from one of her students, Shimizu, and Hajime has rushed over. Firstly, he was originally going to give healing water to Shia, who was also injured after saving Aiko from a blast from a demon. But instead, he actually goes off to Aiko after Shia says, "Do your teacher, he scratched her." And he did. He actually rushed off to Aiko, given her the healing water to revive her, to get rid of the nasty poison. And Aiko, with surprisement, was saved by Hajime. Another exciting heroic actions that Hajime has done during the end of Season 1 was actually returning to the Great Orcus Labyrinth along with his female companions to rescue a tent of his former classmates who were in mortal danger. Even among his former classmates is Kari and Shizuku, another one of my personal favourite female characters in the show. Unfortunately, they were in danger because, of course, there was a demon woman with an army of monsters who was trying to force them to join to her side, but as they were refused, they actually been pursued by these monsters, and unfortunately, Shizuku, let alone Kuroki, her childhood friend, were injured by one of the demon's monsters. And yes, these are the great things about Hajime and the girls' actions throughout the entirety of the series to save the people of Tortoise, as well as Hajime's former classmates as well. And even though that continues into Season 2 of the anime, and I won't be spinning out too much away because we only got, at the time of making this video, 6 episodes left, so I won't be saying much about what's going to happen, of course, with Hajime and the girls' heroic actions. Even though they are very reluctant characters, they actually do help out the many people around Tortoise. But what I have said mostly about is the recent 6 episodes of Season 2, as well as Season 1 actually. So these characters mean a lot so much to me because of their heroic actions. And to me personally, there's much more bigger than just saving people in places around Tortoise. No, this is a much bigger picture of that actually, because Hajime and the girls are going to get ready to go up against one of the most evil antagonist characters in the series. This evil god who used the world of Tortoise as a game of chessboard of war of its own amusement. Ihit. Now, Ihit is this evil god who actually, used the people of Tortoise, any different races, humans or demons, as a game of chessboard of war. And he wants to see every single slaughtering take place throughout the entirety of the world of Tortoise. If you have watched the recent episodes of Season 2, including the latest one from last week, then you may have seen what has happened on that sequence on that ship. I won't say too much due to spoiler reasons if you haven't even watched the episode, but it was the most horrible sight to see. Humans as well as beastmen and demons who have actually been slaughtered by a bunch of knights on this passenger ship. I will be talking much about that in a much later video. If you want me to talk about that, put a comment below. But yeah, these characters are actually going to save the world of Tortoise, and this is a brilliant show because this is a series where you got characters who have the word hope, actually. Hope for the world of Tortoise. And I will be doing another separate video of that hope of saving the world of Tortoise. Why is it so important, actually? And what makes these characters so much special towards me as well. So yeah, I really am enjoying what these characters have been doing throughout the entirety of the anime adaptation, of course. And seeing these characters doing heroic things as well as kicking butt on the battlefield, I really am enjoying the journey with these characters and see where this ends, actually. And I haven't got most of the light novel books, actually, but I do want to get them so I actually find out what happens to these characters. And there's so much incredible world building and lore that I really like to talk about in separate videos in the near future, as well as the characters. Now the characters really do take home for me, actually, because it's not just also the action-packed moments we see these characters doing, it's the relationship to each other, as well as also the heroic moments to save another character, and also seeing them out on the battlefield to protect citizens of this fantasy world against an army of 6,000 strong monsters, and also stopping this evil god, Ihit, to actually use people as pawns, actually. So yeah, this series is an action-packed series, and I want to talk about more of my thoughts about it in part 4, which will probably be my final part to talk about this series. So stay tuned for that, okay? So put your comments down below what everything I said about this in this video, about this series. Put a comment down below and put a like. See you next time on the final parts of part 4 of my thoughts of Arifureta from Commonplace to World's Strongest.